Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's happening? 6:30. It's D-Day, as I like to call it, because we're gonna make a deity. It's kind of like Build-A-Bear, but it's like Build-A-God. And so we're gonna we're gonna do that together. We're gonna hang out. If this is your first time hanging out, by the way, maybe you're just flipping by and you're like, hey, what is this? Well, my name is Paul. I've been a DM for over 20 years and been playing D&D for over 40 years. And yeah, so now I have this zine that I've been working on. I'm on issue number 8 here. This is called The Guardians of Koresh. And this is actually what I'm going to be working through tonight, and just kind of sharing a little about creative processes and building a god. That's what we're going to do. Just out of, I'm going to show you, by the way, I did one last time. I'm going to show you that here in just a minute as some folks start to gather in. And then I have my little build a deity little sheet here, which, by the way, I'm going to upload in the store, so you can have that for yourself. I'm going to dress it up a little bit, so it won't be there immediately, but it will be there, and I will send it to you if I need to. And but that's what we're going to work on tonight, and get that going, and see what happens. Right? What can happen? Right? What can happen? Well, magic can happen, right? Because there's these deities. For those that are not familiar with the whole kind of setting, I won't get into all of that, but I will tell you this: that this world of Koresh has some guardians, the creators of this world, the pantheon. And they have there's an oppose. They basically, the pantheon. They split. They fractured. Let's put it that way. They fractured, and now there's a bunch of deities running around that are up to no good. They have caused chaos in parts of Koresh, and now there's been a hexing by these witches that went south, and everything's terrible and bad. And now we're populating, this Koresh, this land, this place with all kinds of horrible things for you to put your players through. There's monsters, there's demons, there's witches, there's marauders, there's the undead, all kinds of crazy people roaming around this place. So we're going to go ahead and get into this, and hopefully my sound is good. I know that some of you have told me that maybe my sound is low. I've tinkered with it a little bit. We'll see. We'll kind of go from there. You're always welcome to ask any questions as we're moving along, and I will be asking the chat from time to time, what do you think about something? I'll be asking your opinion, and we'll kind of go from there. And we'll probably go for, probably 45 minutes to an hour, and then we'll see what we got going there. But let's go ahead and start off with last week. Last week we did this. We built, and I gave it a name, Durnok Magmaborn. And the race is Dwarven. And one of the things is, what do you have to do to be a follower? And this is where we'll talk a little bit of philosophy of how you like, what place do you think the gods play in your game? I am a fan of it. I'm a fan of the gods, not for the reason of, some people want to have the gods in their game to have this kind of deus ex machina type of thing that offers solutions to everything. And I'm more of a proponent of, let's have deities in our game, not to completely change everything or control everything or to, have an easy out on things. Let's have them in there to build the background of the people who want to play clerics and paladins and people who want to have a deity. It's not mandatory, of course, but it's there so that you can have a fleshed out player who has this type of thing. And I wanted to include some things in there that maybe are not normally included in the creation process. Once again, everything in this is optional. So I have things in there like, well, what do the followers, if you are going to follow a certain deity, well, what is required? Most deities have some sort of requirement, some sort of rule or law, or standard or value, or whatever that is. And so I wanted to put these in there. We also talk about, I put in there temples. Well, what kind of temple, right? So a follower of Durnok Magmaborn is going to be that you have to create something worthy of the gods. So you're saying, look, you got to create something really cool. Do your best, create something. And could there be rules in any of my upcoming, things where it gives you rules for creating things like that. Maybe, who knows? But you can simply say, well, what do you want to create? You can just make it a simple roll and give them say, look, it's going to take you a week or 2 weeks to create that, right? And this is backstory. This is not necessarily something this is a one-on-one thing you can do with a player. It's not necessarily something it's going to be in game, unless, of course, somebody's going to switch deities midstream here. But you can create something worthy of the gods. And depending on whatever your skill level is, it could be, hey, I'm going to create a weapon, or I'm going to cook a meal, or it could be create something. It gives the player something to do. And if the player just wants to go ahead and put that in their little backstory of what they created for, what was their story, well, then they can do that. Or they can, once again, do it as part of a one-on-one and create it, as a new follower of that deity, right? Now, in the temples, we talked about having a shifting temple, and that'll be one of the choices on the, I want to say D10 or D12 that you have. And you can, basically, we all of this is just kind of fiddling around. You roll, I'm rolling. Of course, you can pick something off there. It doesn't matter, right? But what I like about this is that it gives me a chance to kind of create in the moment. Now, some things you're going to need quickly, right? Just boom, I need this. Understood. At the table, you clearly need that. But when you're messing around and you have all the time in the world, you can sit there and doodle a little bit. You can sit there and just kind of mess around with it and iterate it and, let the ideas kind of flow, which I think it's just part of the, a creative process for a DM. It's my creative process where, hey, look, I'm going to create this. Now, will Durnok Magmaborn show up somewhere? Maybe. But I can tell you about the followers, and I can tell you about, this builds out my NPCs. If I want a follower of Durnok Magmaborn, I have an idea of what a follower of his is going to look like, be it a priest or a paladin or somebody else, right? And in this case, there was about the temples. What kind of temples do these guys have, right? We maybe in our minds have, everybody's got the same kind of thing. Once again, I think for me, I'm adding depth to the storyline of the world in which you are playing in. And that's what I want to do for my players. Part of me creating epic games, which I like to say, I want to help you, run epic games. One is evolving characters. They're evolving. That doesn't mean they're just gaining levels. That means they're evolving. They're becoming, more than what they were as they play through adventures. So I want evolving characters. I want passionate storytelling. Right? I want inspiring creativity, right? So part of this is just the part of the inspiring creativity part where you're fleshing out your character to the best way possible, because then that, as a DM, gives me a few hooks and a few things that I can mess around with. And then the C in epic is creating moments, because that's what I want to do. I want to create these moments in game, and some of that revolves around battle. Some of that revolves around a storyline of relationships. Sometimes it's, just cool things happening. So in this particular case, Durnok Magmaborn is, his temple is a shifting volcanic rock and molten iron. So there's lava. It's a shifting. It's not just, it's there, but it can morph. It can change if it so desires to. Practices. One of the practices we came up with for him was to start a fire that you could receive oracles through, and the practice is called fire watching. You ever stare at a fire? I mean, one of the things I think that I love to do, and a lot of guys I like to do, we just like to stare at the fire. We sit around a campfire and we just want to stare at that thing. And what are we looking at? Well, we're just looking at popping, embers and sparks, and we're looking at smoke getting our eyes. All those things, but in this is a practice. In other words, that if he starts a fire and he sits in front of the fire, he's looking to get instructions or to read the maxims that are a part of his, his faith. To say, okay, these are the things, and if you do that, maybe you get some sort of bonus for doing that, right? Or it's a way to communicate, and maybe that you roll on a die, and it's a 1 in 6 chance that something happens. We don't know what that is, right? And then what if you do something wrong? Okay. Penance is flame sense. Now, one of the things that I have there under flame sense is an ability you get that you can determine if there's a fire nearby, you can determine if you can feel heat for a certain distance. You can smell smoke for longer distances than others. It's just an ability you get for being kind of an innate ability that you get for being a follower of this particular deity. And what happens is that flame sense gets taken away. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed the whole benefits thing, by the way. I went to temple straight to practices. Benefits is flame sense. Hear, smell, fire, feel heat from a short distance, right? But it's more than what other people can do. You can say, you can sense that there's a fire without, knowing there's a fire without being able to see it. You may be able to smell that smoke for a mile away, whatever it is you want to put on that. And then you have, once again, the penance you have to do is that your flame sense is taken away. Now, you say it's a big deal. Not, or it's not a big deal. Maybe, right? Depending, right? You might need that if you're facing fire elementals and you need somebody that kind of knows where they're at any given time, or if there's fire traps or things of that nature. And then omens, right? The omens, I decided that if your deity is wanting to speak to you or warn you or anything like that, well, then stuff burns into flames, okay? And once again, it's a 1 in D6, okay? It's not, we say, look, roll, and let's see what happens. Is there an opportunity? If something is nearby, it can be anything from, a chair to a horse. Whatever happens nearby, whatever the deity feels like blowing up at that moment and it combusting into flames, then that is what it's going to do. And then the maxims, right? That's what we talk about, flame speak, and I call that flame speak. And that's where you create a fire with a special kind of flint that your dwarf or whoever is following this particular deity, and that the spark of, I'm calling it the spark of wisdom, and the result that when you light that fire, it results in a limited time blessing. So in other words, that your deity is going to reward you for reading your maxims or whatever it is, and it gives the opportunity for the character, the player, and the character being able to come up with a maxims. Like, what did you learn through the flame speak? That the fire was speaking to you. What did your deity say? And you can come up with some just fun maxim that your player can use that all throughout their game, right? And like for Terran Doomsinger, his was bring the doom, right? So all the time was bring the doom that that he would say, and I felt like that's something his deity dropped on him, the god of doom. He said, "We're gonna bring the doom," and so he would do that, and that's just become a fun running thing there. So yeah, use your flint, which is called the spark of wisdom, and it results in a limited time blessing, a lot like what Tim used. Tim gave you, I want to say, what did he say? What was this? Was this the chewing of I want to say it was the chewing of some sort of like tobacco or something that gave you a 24-hour blessing. We did something. I can't remember what it is. We did something. It was 24-hour blessing. And basically, maybe you get +1 to a weapon, or maybe you get an extra luck point. Maybe there's like a table for that you can roll on. Well, what do you get, right? What does your deity give you, as part of doing your practice, right? And then once again, winds up in lore. Now we go to then the weird worship site. None, right? Was there any kind of weird worship site? Not for this. It didn't fit the profile because we came up with a temple. We did say that, look, that the meetings that they have is only at sunset. So when it starts to get dark, which makes sense for somebody who's a fire deity, when it gets dark outside, well, then there's going to be fires. People are going to start lighting their fires. So it made sense to have your meetings or your services at that time. And then I rolled up a fetch quest that had to do with a mask of elementals. Don't know what that is. I'll flesh that out. And then I have a little notes page there. All right, so let's go ahead and start then on the new deity we want to do. We'll get that out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and drop into the chat here. If you would like this zine, I'm going to put that right here into the chat. And we'll see where we go from there. Let's see here. Let's drop it in there. If you want the single issue, You can do that, or you can buy it as a bundle, and I will put the bundle there as well. And basically, on a bundle, you're basically getting 7 issues of the zine and getting 1 free. And so I thought that was a good deal. We can do that. And let's go ahead and put that in there. All right, so get them all together, and you can build out your world as you see fit. Now, let's go ahead and jump on over to, let's jump on over here to where I want to go here. There we are. And so we have our crit happens here, and we're going to go down. Let's move that over just a little bit. And I can move myself over just a little bit. Get a lot of room to read here, and then I'll kind of boost it up a little bit so everybody can see. And we will go down and just, I'll show you just a little bit of what's in there. We have some demigods in there. We have how we got to the hexing, a little back story to that from issue number 5. Then we have the Guardians of Kriesh, where I break down all the Guardians, the Keystones of Kriesh, which are the artifacts that were used in creation, but then were used for prisons, to put all the bad people in that decided they wanted to come against and split off from the Guardians. Then you have the Temples of the Guardians that we have there, description of those, and then create your own, and that's where we're going to go there. So let's start with traditional God stuff. Let's see what we're going to do here. I'm going to get my dice out, and we'll just start writing stuff down. So what kind of God are we going to be creating tonight? We'll find out. Let's go ahead and see here. We'll go and roll the dice. And we're going to go with 5. So we're going to go with water this time. Okay, nothing too crazy. So the focus will be water or the sea. We'll put that on there. And then let's see what kind of race we're going to have here. The God of what? Well, we're going to say not the God of what yet. We're going to go to God of whom. And so the God of whom is going to be 19. Oh, wow. The merfolk. Okay. I like it when the dice do this because it could have been anything. Merfolk works, so let's go simple, right? Let's not question the dice. Okay, when you roll a 20, right, or don't look a gift a horse in the mouth. Okay, just take it, right? And then let's go to what kind of, let's see, do we want to, it's a merfolk. Do we want to go there? I think we got water sea, so let's go ahead and go with that, and we'll do something in my next one where we'll go something fancy. So to become a follower, what does that mean? To become a follower of this water sea merfolk deity, what is that going to be? Let's go ahead and roll. Let's see, it's going to be a 10-sided dice, so let's roll a 10-sided dice. A 7. You must win a specific challenge. So to be a follower, win a challenge. Okay. Let's see. To win a challenge, what could we do there? Now, the challenge can be, I'm thinking in my head when you go back and you're a kid, trying to do an obstacle course, that kind of thing. It says, proving you are worth through your contest of skill strength. So maybe it could be, I'll just make some notes here. Followers, what kind of challenge? Could be a swimming challenge. It could be battle something from the deep. Battle a deep monster of some kind. It could also be where you are do some sort of obstacle course. You have to swim down there. It could be retrieve something off the ocean floor. Right, so you've got to do something, some sort of challenge that with water out in the sea somewhere. And maybe, like I said, it could be something with a boat. It could be you could win a sailing race. Or it could be that you need to have a, some sort of boat combat. All right. So those are just some ideas. Once again, we're not worried about what it's all going to look like at the minute. We're going to figure it out as we go. So I think that's good that you have to win a challenge, some sort of challenge. Maybe, we'll go on. Let's go on. All right. So not your daddy's temple. So what kind of temple are we going to have? What are these temples that the merfolk have? Well, we're going to roll a d10, a 3. Living architecture. Temples grown from living plants or corals. Okay, constantly evolving and changing. So I think the temples, those temples for the merfolk will be likely underwater. It will involve a coral temple of some kind. Okay. And there could be also, seaweed, anything that kind of morphs itself. So coral can change a little bit. We can put seaweed in there. Let me write that down. Seaweed. And this gives me, by the way, when I'm doing this gives me a lot of room to describe, right? A few key words, right? Coral, seaweed, starfish. I'm building a picture of maybe what this temple looks like, what it's made out of, and all that kind of good stuff, right? So what kind of benefits then do you get? What kind of benefits do you get for believing? Now, once again, you can be a person on the land. Maybe maybe you're a part merfolk. How about that? You're a half mer. Okay. I don't know why that strikes me as funny. You're a half mer. If you can be a half orc and a half elf, you could be a half mer. And so maybe as a character being a half mer, you have to, your mom, you think of Aquaman, right? You're part of the land and you're part of the sea. I'm going to write down half mer because I just think that's funny. Okay, so you're kind of like Aquaman in this, where you have to go and bring a sacrifice. Okay. Hey, Test. How's it going? Good to see you. Wanted to pop in and show support. Looking forward to getting your book. Thank you so much, Test. Half mer sounds neat, right? Right? If you have this kind of Aquaman type of character that's got to go however many times a year, 3 times, 4 times a year, you've got to make a journey to the coral temple in the sea and offer sacrifice. Or you've got to go there to do any number of things, right? You got to go there for some sort of, maybe you become king, right? Who knows? You have a position there. You're part of royalty, maybe, as Aquaman was. Who knows? But the benefits, we're going to figure that out here in a second. But I think this works for both a land and sea type character. But Test, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. Let us carry on, shall we? So let's take a look then at what we're going to do. Strange benefits. So we're going to do a D10, a 4. Linguistic mastery. Instant understanding of one language, the ability to communicate with animals. Okay, well, this is going to be fish, right? Or imbue words with magical effects. So you're automatically going to be able to talk. Your benefits is talk with sea life. Okay? That's going to be your deal. So we're making Aquaman. Let's just face it. I had no intention of this, but holy cow, is this fun. We're just making Aquaman. Nothing wrong with that. I like Aquaman. So anyway, your benefit is you have linguistic mastery, instant understanding of one language, the ability to communicate with animals, or imbue words with magical effects. So he talks with fish. There we go. Okay. Practices. Let's move on to that. What kind of practices and devotions do you have? What do you have to do? What is your rhythm, right, to communicate with this particular deity? What do you have to do? Let's check it out. 6. A trance dance. Followers beat a drum as fast as they can while dancing wildly. Okay, so what does that look like then? So if I did that and you have to do that as a practice, how does that relate to water? Maybe it is some sort of water drums. Water drums. Okay. Some sort of water drum. Something that it could be some sort of water dance, right? It's got to be a trance dance, which is basically, I'm just saying it's a rave. Okay, let's just call it a rave. Basically, where the water drums, somehow there's water drums. I don't know where I'm going with this, but stick with me here. If you have an idea later on in chat or down below, water drums. That's all I have. So there's got to be this maybe it's waves too. Maybe you have to go down as your practice is, there's some sort of wave dance. I don't know. We'll hold on that. It's okay. We won't go too far with it. Let's go on down then to penance for poor performance, right? If you fail in Shadow Dark, if you have a critical fail and you are, a spellcaster of some kind, well, then you're making your deity mad. You got to roll on a chart and then bad things happen. So what is your penance here? What do you have to do? These are not as terrible, by the way, as what you have in Shadow Dark. So let's find out what you have to do if you mess it up, okay? All right, a 5. Wearing the weight. Followers must carry or drag a heavy object inscribed with their past lies. Their past lies or broken promises physically bearing the burden. Okay, so I immediately think you have to carry dead fish. So not only as part of your terrible thing that you've done, you must carry dead fish with you, and then you're just going to smell. And if you choose not to do it, it may be that your deity just says, I'm going to cast bad smelling fish on you, and you're going to smell like bad fish, which is going to impact when you go into a dungeon. Guess what? People are going to smell you. So you got to carry around dead fish with you as part of your penance. How long? But who knows? Okay. Let's see. Remember when you two promised not to share our names? The Baka Forest people make music with their hands in water. Okay. All right. The Baka. I'm going to write that down. Thank you, R. Or remember when YT promised not to share our names? I was reading that as a whole quote. I was like, were you asking me? Do I remember? That's your handle. Okay. So the Baka Forest people, let's write that down. Baka, I'll put that in notes. Baka Forest people make music with their hands in water. Forest, hands, and water. Thank you so much for that. Because I know that there are people who do things, right? There are other religions, other things around the world that do various things. But the Baka people, I'm going to look that up. The Baka Forest people. And we can make something of that. And when I come back and do another one next week, and when we do kind of this Build-A-Bear routine of building a deity, I will go ahead and add that to that. And so thank you very much for adding that. R, appreciate it. So we will put that there, making hands water music. Put that down. Okay. And that anthropology degree comes. Oh, there we go. Ha ha! Love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Bringing the knowledge. Well done, sir. Well done. Well, that degree, well earned and well used tonight, sir. Absolutely. All right. So how then does we have this? We have the penance of dead fish, which I like. Then we have God. Is that you? How does your God communicate with you? Much like in the first part where I talk about the dwarf communicating through the flames. Well, this God here, let's see, what are we going to do? It's going to be a D10, a 9. Followers experience a collective hallucination. Okay. I'm going to say, let's see, it's not on here. So I will use this. I will say that it is a vivid hallucination. In other words, any omens are that the person, the practicer, the paladin or the cleric who follows this merfolk deity, the omen is going to be that they're going to see almost like they're going to see bodies of water or maybe an oasis. right? Well, it's kind of in the desert, but what would they see? What could they see as a symbol? A vivid hallucination. Followers experience a collective hallucination. So I guess that's like a mass text. Like if a God wanted to, I want to talk to everybody, right? But let's narrow it down here. Let's narrow it down to just this person, okay? Yeah, maybe timing is related to the tides in the ocean currents. So omens happen, something happens at high tide or low tide. And when it's low tide, it has to do with the timing of the waves. That maybe there's a vision of something. So maybe it just goes, we call it high tide or low tide vision. That if somehow the deity wants to communicate, once again, this would apply if you're at the ocean, let's say, and you're there on the beach, and you say, I'm going to roll a 1d6, a 1. Is your deity trying to communicate with you? You roll a 1, and if it rolls a 1, then depending whether it's high tide or low tide at that moment, you'll get a certain thing. So at high tide, you will get, you will know something good. At low tide, it will tell you something bad, right? So it'll be a bad meaning a warning, and good being good being something pleasant, right? A warning or I'll call it a boon for now. It's not really a boon, but it's a communication that something good is ahead. Okay. All right, good stuff. I like the timing. Well done, sir. All right. So that goes to that. I think we've covered that. Let's go to the maxims. How does this particular believer get information? Well, in other words, you have a text, right? Most religions have a text of some kind, whether it's maxims, it's a plaque on the wall, it's a book, it's a scroll, it's whatever it is, right? So what then does this look like for this? How does this merfolk prefer you have something that would contain the standards, values, practices, all the things we've been talking about in there? And once again, these become, I think, valuable tools that when I describe a temple, that I can say you see these books, scrolls, whatever they are, right? Whatever they are for that particular deity, right? So let's go and see. What do we have here? A 10. Okay, kinetic gestural teachings. Complex sequences of physical movements or gestures that when performed reveal. Okay, so here's what I'll say is that you have to have, that you can move your hand, that when you move your hand, okay, this is how you learn things, right? You're gonna or you could have I like this better, almost like a magic 8-ball, but it is a clear container of liquid. We'll say water, but it could be anything. A clear container of liquid that when you shake it, something comes up. Some sort of maxim, teaching, rule, warning. don't overcook your fish. Something, right? Who knows? So I'm looking at a clear container of liquid that when they shake it, that the words kind of appear. Maybe the bubbles make it, maybe something happens there, but you shake it, and then suddenly your texts, those things come forth. All right? Now, is there any kind of weird worship site? Any kind of weird thing? So let's just say I'll roll on it. If it doesn't work, that's the great thing about stuff like this. It's just, you're just rolling stuff up. It doesn't have to be, the thing, right? In game, maybe, or you just pick something. Let's find out. 5. Within a reverse gravity zone, the temple is built in a region where gravity is reversed, requiring followers to adapt to walk on the ceiling and navigate on upside down world. Now, here's what I like about this. Could there be, for those that are on land, could merfolk, especially a half merfolk, is there a whole group of, is there a whole another, I just think of like, denominations, right? I mean, you got Methodists, you got Baptists, you got, Catholics. Is there a sect, and I call it weird, but it's just really just another sect where there are land temples that are have strangely some sort of water theme to them, that if you can't get to the ocean, maybe there's something, maybe there are merfolk places on land. So there's kind of this opposite deal, which is specifically for half merfolks, right? We'll put it there. Why not? It's a sect. It's like they got stuff on land. They got stuff on sea. They're not, listen, they believe in branching out. They want people to know not everybody can be in the sea. So you got to branch out a little bit and go, hey, just like, churches do. Listen, you got to plant churches all over the place. So they're not going to just plant in the sea. They're going to have some on land. And that appeals to some people. Okay. So we're going to have that. All right. Is there a specific time? Oh, okay. Yeah. Rivers flowing along the ceiling. Rivers flowing along the ceiling. Is that for the omens, or is that for to which item would that apply to? R, tell me which one are we talking about? Is that for the texts? Is that for the omens? Is that for? I do like the rivers though, because right, a body of water can appear or a river can appear. Is this a communication thing? Tell me which one are you applying that to, and I will make a note of it. Worship side. Okay, rivers, absolutely. Right by the riverside. Sure. So really the merfolk can be near bodies of water. So a riverside, it could be a lake, right? It's not just the ocean, right? Yeah, reverse gravity worship, right? So that's kind of the reverse of that. It's, whereas in water, zero gravity, right? And then, of course, on land, a lot of gravity, okay? So I like that. We're going to put that in there. And let's see. Let's go ahead and... Let's see. Oh, yeah, reverse gravity site. All right, let's go to... let's see. Let's go to strange meeting times. When do they meet? Let's find out. Let's roll a D12 this time. A 6. Only when bells are ringing. I don't know if I like that one. Let's try another one. A 1. Only at midnight. Okay. Midnight. We'll call it Midnight Merfolk Mass. Oh, that's what we're going to call it. That's it. Midnight. It's like on Christmas Eve for Catholics, I grew up Catholic, so I've gone to several Christmas Eve midnight masses. And so midnight Merfolk Mass. Okay. And they have bells. Who knows? But anyway, that's going to be the meeting. Midnight is when they meet. For some reason, midnight. When, for whatever reason. Midnight. All right. So then what can we put? I just have too much fun with this. So I like just, and listen, I crack myself up, okay? Look, I'm the only person, if the only person I crack up is me, I'm okay with that, right? Everybody else, I just get strange looks. Strange looks. What is he talking about? All right. So let's talk about a fetch quest. Let's just figure out something for this, right? Like I said, all these are to do. They're not, definitive in the sense that, whatever you're rolling, it's supposed to be inspirational. That's what these tables are for, right? So if people like exact things, I'm afraid that I have failed you. So what do we have here? We're going to roll on a D12. All right, so let's roll on a D12. 1. Corundum's stolen rune tablet, a sacred rune etched tablet crucial for maintaining magical wards, has been stolen from a hidden temple dedicated to Corundum. Okay, you could do that. That's and if you wanted to flip it, around, I would have to take that and say, okay, so a sacred rune etched tablet, maybe one of those clear bottles has been stolen, and it's a sacred water text. We'll put that in there. Has been stolen, or maybe there are certain water runes. Maybe we can say that has been stolen from a temple dedicated to whomever this god may be. So there's something stolen that's a sacred, instead of a rune etched tablet, it could be etched sand, right? Some sort of sand tablet. Could be made out of coral. There's a lot of things. All right, I think we have come to the end of creating this thing. So let me go back over here. I want to thank everybody for hanging out tonight. Appreciate you being a part. We'll go ahead and jump over here. And I think I've managed to stay under time this time, which is unbelievable for me. And if you are interested, once again, the links are in the... yeah, it goes. That's an... What if they stole? What if they actually stole an actual pearl? What if there was a pearl? Ooh, these are good now, right? Pearls. These pearls of, we'll call it something, pearls of the sea. We'll come up with something, okay, that have some sort of magical power. But the pearls themselves are doing something. They're the pearls. The pearls could be the runes themselves. So maybe they're in some kind of thing. So, yeah, the pearls themselves could be a thing. They're sacred pearls of the ocean that do certain things, that keep things. They have some power to them, especially for certain locations and things like that. But I like it. So I think we have quite a bit. Hell yeah. We got a lot done in just about 30 minutes, which is the whole goal here, is just to have some fun, sitting around, making up junk, right? It's always fun when you do it with other people, right? Friends online that choose to join you and hang out for a little while. And like I said, the links are in there that if you want to purchase whether you purchase the bundle or you purchase the single thing, it doesn't matter to me, whatever's good for you, whatever suits you. That's really what it's about. And so as I create these things, you can pick, like I said, you can pick up the number 8 for the Hex Crawl of Horror, or you can pick up the bundle. Get yourself a bundle of stuff. And then, of course, next month, I am bringing out the doing cults. So we'll see with that. R says, when I think of pearls, I think of their protective, hopefully I'm saying this, nacre? I'm going to say nacre, but I bet it's nacre, right? Which makes me think of some kind of protective shield, maybe around an underwater mer city. And that inspires me. What you talk about you talk about a protective shield. What if they were pearls, shields of pearl? Actual shields of pearl. Let's get better and better, R. Killing it here. But I believe in that. But I like their protective nacre, right? The protective element of the pearl. That the pearls are there to protect. They're just pearls of protection, which may keep like the Sahuagin away. And when those pearls are gone, or somebody steals them, it opens them up to enemies of the sea. or enemies of the of whatever the whatever the deal is, right? So all about it, man. I'm all about it. I love it. I love it. And thank you. Definitely grabbing your books. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you doing that. Appreciate you being a part tonight. And yeah, so I'm staying under time here tonight. So I'm gonna honor you guys' time. Thank you for watching. If you, like I said, if you're interested in any of the zines, get them. If you don't, that's fine. This time I take is as good for me. Hopefully it's as good for you. But even if it's just me, I'm in creative mode. I get into that creative flow. And now I have a bunch of cool stuff to work on because of R and other folks that were here. And test. And then I have something to work on that I could put another demigod in there. I could put somebody else in there. I could build a whole adventure around that. There we go. So, super productive, everybody. Well done. Well done. All right, but that is it for tonight, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for being a part tonight. If you come upon this and you say, Paul, I don't know who you are, but I like the cut of your jib, well, then go and click the subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, okay? Hit the thumbs up button. Tell me you like the video, right? That lets me know you like it and you want more videos like this. And other than that, everybody, test there. Says, I can't stay long. Wanted to pop. Oh, pop in and show support. There you are. I went to the top again. And I read that quickly and I thought test had come back and he says, well, I had to go poop. I was like, what? Wait, what did we just say? But he didn't do that. All right. That's it for tonight, everybody. Enough messing around. Let you guys get on with your evening. Have a good one. I'm going to go eat some dinner and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good night, everybody.